I'm on the website Christo La Verdad, Christ the Truth. I'm reading part 3 in the series of 9 about mysticism. This part is Mysticism, Ignatius of Loyola. Most evangelicals would recognize and reject occult practices like mediums, the Ouija board, etc., knowing the Bible condemns and calls this an abomination. But sadly, thousands without knowing are embracing occult practices by accepting mystical spiritual exercises. As an ex-Catholic, it breaks my heart to see evangelicals following Catholic saints or their mystical teachings. It is very important to examine what is the spirit behind any spiritual practice, 1 John 4:1, before we open the door and welcome them, 2 John 1:10. Some people will say that what they are learning is in the Bible, but beloved, please remember Satan is a master of deception. Always check who were the mentors of that teacher or where their doctrine came from. One of the most used mystic exercises belongs to Jesuit founder Ignatius of Loyola. Ignatius of Loyola, baptized Inigo Lopez, was a Catholic mystic. Was born in the Basque city of Loyola, Castile, Spain. Spain was heavily influenced by Jewish and Sufi mysticism. Loyola was beatified by the Catholic Church in 1609 and then canonized, receiving the title of saint on the 12th of March, 1622. His feast day is celebrated on the 31st of July. On March 13th, 2013, Pope Francis became the first pope that is a follower of Loyola. Mystics believe in salvation by works. Also denying self-pleasure and experiencing self-induced pain are considered spiritual merits to get closer to God. The starting point of mysticism is encountering God or union with God. Most Christian mystics have believed in universal salvation and that hell is not endless. Their visions, impressions, and imaginary conversations become their truth and reality, replacing sound doctrine. They make emphasis on personal experience over all doctrine. All known Christian mystics of the past were Catholics. Also Gnostics, Kabbalists, Sufis, etc. are mystics. In his youth, Loyola joined the army. He served under a relative, Antonio Manrique de Lara, Duke of Najera, and he fought several battles without incidents. But on May 1521, in a battle in Pamplona, he was hurt by a cannonball, breaking his right leg. He was transported to Loyola a month later. His bone in the broken leg was set incorrectly, and his leg was rebroken and reset. He would then walk with a limp. During his painful convalescence, he read Catholic mystic books, and he experienced a series of visions in full daylight. One of the books which most influenced him was De Vita Christi, The Life of Christ, of Ludolf of Saxony, a German mystic monk. This book inspired him to follow the example of mystic Francis of Assisi and other Catholic monks. It is also said that inspired his method of meditation, since Ludolf proposes that the reader place himself mentally at the scene of the gospel story, visualizing the crib at the nativity, etc. This is known as simple contemplation and was the basis for the method that Saint Ignatius would promote in his spiritual exercises. Example, self-projection into a biblical scene to start a conversation with Christ in Calvary, etc. The methods of meditation and the Vita Christi entered Spain and were known in the early part of the 16th century. Mystic Saint Teresa of Avila, her father and grandfather were conversos, and Saint John of the Cross, converso. Frequently quoted from Ludolf, both are founders of Descalced Carmelites. Decalced Carmelites? Sorry, I'm not sure. After recovery, Ignatius went in 1522 to Montserrat, Barcelona, and dedicated his life to the Virgin, Our Lady of Montserrat. Here is the Black Madonna, Our Lady of Montserrat, at Montserrat Mountain, close to Barcelona, Spain. The site was before a Roman temple to the goddess Venus. Lovely. And here is a cave in Manresa, region of Catalonia, Spain. He continues his journey to Manresa, Catalonia region, where he lived for 11 months in a cave wearing sackcloth, barefoot, doing contemplative prayer and penitence by practicing rigorous asceticism. In the litany prayers to Saint Ignatius, he is praised as being constant in the practice of corporal penance. There he had other visions, example of the Virgin Mary with infant Jesus, the Trinity, Virgin Mary alone, Peter, of a serpent-shaped object, etc. These repetitive visions appeared as a form in the air near him, and this form gave him much consolation because it was exceedingly beautiful. It somehow seemed to have the shape of a serpent and had many things that shone like eyes, but were not eyes. He received much delight and consolation from gazing upon this object, but when the object vanished, he became disconsolate. And that's from Jean Lacouture, Jesuits, a multi-biography. It was here where he wrote his spiritual exercises, a 200-page set of meditations, prayers, and mental exercises to achieve spiritual illumination, very similar to the meditations of Eastern mysticism and Gnosticism. The exercises were designed to be carried out over a period of 28 to 30 days. While at Manresa, he also grew to love the book The Imitation of Christ by mystic Thomas A. Kempis, which arose from the Divito Moderna movement. This book places emphasis on the devotion to the Eucharist as key element of spiritual life and is still used today by Jesuits in their spiritual exercises. Recently, Ignatian scholars had said that Ignatius was mainly influenced by some spiritual exercises written by mystic Garcia de Cisneros of Montserrat, Spain. I'm sorry about my pronunciations. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to keep going. After his experience in the cave, he made a trip to Jerusalem. He returned to Spain, where he did some studies in 1526. The Reformation had started already with Martin Luther in Germany around 1517 to 1521. With his companions, he made some disciples of women while preaching. 3 of these female disciples, Donna Leo, Donna Maria, and Donna Beatrice. When Ignatius was preaching, they started to experience ecstasies. One fell senseless. Another sometimes rolled about on the ground. Another had been seen in the grip of convulsions or shuddering and sweating in anguish. That sounds familiar. That's from Jesuits, a multi-biography by Jean Lacouture. Okay, these manifestations had taken place while Ignatius and his companions were regularly preaching in public. Widows Isabella Roser and Isabella de Joza were wealthy Catalan women who were Loyola's benefactors from the 1520s onward. Isabella demanded membership of the Jesuits for herself and 2 female companions. She belonged to an exclusively female organization called Las Ignas. Inigas, I don't know, something about Ignatius, which was composed of devotees of Ignatius Loyola. Although this was initially granted, it was rescinded in 1546, and the order has remained open only to males ever since. It is believed that Ignatius, as a young man, became a member of the Alumbrados, later the Illuminati, a Gnostic sect composed mainly of Kabbalist conversos, aka Moranos, but that as a cover for his activities, he became very active as a Roman Catholic. In 1527, he was incarcerated 3 times by the Spanish Inquisition, led by the Dominicans, under the same accusation, but was released with the help of Pope Paul III, appointed by Pope Alexander Rodrigo Borgia as cardinal deacon, as a Cardinal Farnese fathered 3 sons and 1 daughter. Loyola moved to Paris February 1528, where he studied at the ascetic College de Montaigu, where he remained for over 7 years. College de Montaigu was an institution founded by important figures in the Devotio Moderna movement. There Ignatius gathered 6 faithful companions. Diego Lainez, a converso 21 years younger than Loyola, elected second superior general in 1558. Francis Xavier, Alfonso Salmeron, and Nicolas Bobadilla, all Spanish. Peter Faber, converso, from France, and Simio Rodriguez, Jewish roots, from Portugal. 3 others joined soon after. Claude Leger, a Genevan Savoyard, Jean Cojor, and Pasquez Brot, French. Again, sorry for my pronunciations. On August 15th of 1534, the day of Assumption of Mary, in the crypt of the Church of Our Lady of the Martyrs at Montmartre, France, Loyola and 9 companions made solemn vows over a skull and founded the Knights of the Virgin Mary, similar to the Knight Templars. They also vow to travel to the Holy Land. In 1537, Ignatius formed the Society of Jesus, a military order, and later gave himself to the service of the Catholic Church. The order was approved orally first in 1539 and solemnly confirmed in the bull Regimini Militantis Ecclesiae. Okay. September 27, 1540, by Pope Paul III. Ignatius was then chosen as the first superior general of the Jesuit order. On 22nd April 1541, Ignatius and his first companions made their solemn vows as Jesuits before the image of Mary in the Basilica of St. Paul, outside the walls in Rome. The society played a big role in the Counter-Reformation and brought so much bloodshed, torture, and suffering. Also, they were part of the implementation of the Second Vatican Council. Loyola often ended his letters to Jesuits going to the missions with the expression, oh no, ite inflammate omnia, meaning, go set the world on fire. Yay. The Duke of Gandia, Francis Borgia, traveled with the Jesuits to Rome to see Pope Paul III in 1537, but officially joined them in 1546 after his wife suddenly died, poisoned. He was also of Jewish roots and great-grandson of Pope Alexander VI. Through the influence of Borgia, Loyola obtained Paul III's approval of the spiritual exercises on July 31st, 1548. Years later, when Diego Lainez died in 1565, Borgia was chosen as the 3rd superior general. Jews have lived in Spain since the 4th century BC and prospered under the Moors, who ruled Spain for 800 years. In late 14th century, after Catholics took back Spain from the Moors, the Church demanded that the more than 400,000 Jews be converted to Catholicism or leave Spain, because thousands had been massacred in the anti-Jew riots of 1348 and 1391. More than half of those Jews agreed to convert and became known as conversos. The same happened in Portugal. It is known that most conversions were done by necessity and not out of a real faith. So many Jews converted publicly to Catholicism, but secretly they continued to practice Judaism, including following the Talmud and Kabbalah that were popular in Spain among them. It is believed that Ignatius and his companions were Kabbalistic Jews, maybe not ethnic Jews, but practicing the religion, and most of them were conversos, aka crypto-Jews or Marranos, a derogative term of those not sincere in their conversion. Loyola was born in 1491 from wealthy Marrano parents, a year before the expulsion of the Jews from Spain in 1492. This is a signed copy of the Edict of Expulsion, March 31st, 1492. Recent news: Spain expects up to 200,000 Jews to apply for citizenship, but we can also find some admissions made by several Jesuits and other writers about Loyola and others of the society's founders. And here's a couple examples. Thomas Michael, Society of Jesus, is Secretary for Interreligious Dialogue of the Society of Jesus in Rome and Ecumenical Secretary of the Federation of Asian Bishops Conference. In his book, he explores the role played in Jesuit history by Jews forced to convert to Christianity. Book published by Fordham University, a Jesuit institution. Find a review of the book here. And that is part end of part... I'm sorry. And that is the end of part 3 on mysticism. The next part is part 2 of Ignatius of Loyola.
Run.
There's just one name that can keep you out of hell, and it's the name of Jesus. The name of Jesus. The name of Jesus.